Okay, if you're like me and you love your favorite team and you can't wait to consume as much talk and content about your favorite team, not just during the regular season, but also, during the off season when there is no football, because you're just such a huge football fan, you need to hear about your favorite team 24/7. Look, I'm guilty. I am that. I do that. So I can understand why that demand is out there. The thing is, with that demand and 24/7 talking about your favorite team means that eventually people are just going to say some things to say some things, which means you end up with narratives and storylines that are just going to drive you crazy, that are going to be here all off season. So this video right here, I'm going to put it all in one place, is the one-stop shop to put all these frustrating little storylines that you're already tired of hearing about the 2021 Browns and put them all in one place. And speaking of content during the regular and off season, make sure you hit that subscribe button, ding that notification bell so you don't miss anything. But yes, there already exist a ton of default positions, default arguments, and default questions and narratives about the 2021 Cleveland Browns that I, myself, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other Browns fans are pretty sick of already. It's only June, baby. But what are these storylines? Well, I'll tell you right after I give a shout out to the patreon.com dog check tier members. And as always, I start with Fred Pratt III, David Vautier, Relentless Buck, Chunt, Rex Kaufman, The Real Quincy Carrier, Kevin Johnson, Marino V, Cleveland Cart, Matt H, Sign Sheets, Gemini, Fight Dirty 74, Yo-Yo, Matt Lloyd, Paul Wilcox, Hundo Magnifico, Rob Ferron, Kyle Stouffer, Lukey from Munich, Dave Roth, J Guy 101, Joe Bobby, Brad Cowbo, Dylan W, James McGinley, Arenda Hall, Chad Gimme, David Malinado, Dylan Hale, Josh Bendor, Mark M, TJ Showman, Stuart Moore, Cleveland BCI, Robert Jermaine Jr., Dave Mike May, John Cummings, Andrew Hirsch, Curtis Bear, Brock Kumar, John Albert, Masayua, Buds Roland, James Nemo, Mac House, Reeve Hertz, Philip Wilcoxon, Marie Vivert, Sean Barron, Goggles Pisano, Corporal Nick Lopez, Dom Gazzulo, Nick Nasty, Ian Whitaker, Colin 216, Anthony Latham, Christian, Dave Strong, Matt Stone, Charles Work, Billy Moose Gentry, Mark Burnett II, Andre Griffin, Otis Wolf, Dog Pound Kai, Greg Ehlers, Austin Bolin, Kirkabar, Easley Badge, Joe Hart, Gabriel Wilson, Max Nilikinko, Lydia Mahawk, Jesus Serrano, Chris Phones, Picktown Browns backers, Mark Kahn, Max Owl Dojo, and Water Bear Marketing. Again, guys, thank you so much for your consistent support throughout the year, regular and off season. I appreciate you guys, every single one of you, whether you're a $3, $1, or $10 Patreon. I appreciate you a ton. I also appreciate people who just subscribe, people who just watch, people who just hit the like button, people who just comment. Whether you comment negatively or positively, I appreciate your efforts and attention. Again, guys, thank you so much for the support. Now, let's talk about these storylines that we're already sick of. So you guys ready to get your punching bag out and just let loose on some of these horrible, horrible storylines and takes that you're just sick of arguing against on Twitter, in person, wherever it is that you have to have these arguments? I know you're sick of them because I'm already sick of them. So let this be the place to let loose about it. And also, if you want to let me know in the comment section what narratives you're tired about, let me know there. But the first one I am tired of is this one. All right, now, admittedly, it's not as existent as it's been in years past, right? People have been abandoning this position ever since the end of the 2020 season. But since so many people are abandoning this obviously nonsensical statement, people who still want to hang on to this statement, which is Browns is the Browns, right? The Browns are never going to change. They're always going to stink because of the Browns, even though, they didn't stink last year, but then they're still the Browns. But the people who want to hang on to that, they hang on to it so tight. It's almost like 2020 just didn't happen. And to these people, it didn't, right? They'll just talk about the Browns got a lot to prove. The Browns still have to prove that they can be good, right? The goalposts went from proof that you can win games against top teams to prove that you can win a playoff game to prove that you could do it 5 years in a row. Then I'll believe you're a real NFL team. And at that point, it's stupid, right? By the way, people who say this are usually Steeler fans for pretty obvious reasons, right? I mean, like that whole fan base's whole thing is about nostalgia and gripping on to the past with a fierce vengeance, right? That's why they talk about these Super Bowl rings, which most of them they got before most of the people who talk about the Super Bowl rings were even born. That's why they always bring up the names and greats of Steelers. That's why you still see Franco Harris in 2021, right? Like nobody knows except for people who work in football about the Immaculate Reception. But, it's Steeler fans. Every single one of them know about Franco Harris. Why? Because they just love nostalgia out there in Pittsburgh. It's their number one resource that they put out in Pittsburgh. They don't make still anymore. They make nostalgia, right? Yeah, that's why they're still hanging on to Big Ben. They click on the Juju and they say he's the next Hines Ward. It's because nostalgia is their drug. I'm not necessarily making this whole section just to dunk on Steeler fans, partly to dunk on Steeler fans, but, not all to dunk on Steeler fans because, let's face it, they're going to be Steeler fans about this. So it's kind of hard to be extra mad at them for being who they are. But the people who I am trying to dunk on when they say this are people who actually get paid to do sports talk, who go on like these ESPN take shows, Get Up, First Take, or whatever it is. If you enjoy these shows, that's cool. But they'll have these guys come on, like Rod Nikovich or whatever. He'll come on there and they'll be like, hey, Rob. They'll be like, Rob, how do you feel about the Browns? They still got a lot to prove to me, honestly. Like the Cleveland Browns have been bad for blah, 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 blah. And it's like, dog, they were good last year. Like it's like, look, here's how it goes in football. If your team was good the year before, you get the benefit of the doubt before the next season that you're probably going to be good. You get to prove on the field that you're not good. But the benefit of the doubt is, well, if they were 11-5 last year and they kept most of their players and signed better players in the offseason, well, they're probably going to continue to be decent at the very least, right? But nope, not with the Browns. The Browns is the Browns. And people who get paid to do this go on TV and just act like 2020 hasn't happened. That's the first one that I'm already sick of. Thankfully, it's not the most prevalent one on the list. The next one is, oh my God. Now look, I'm just done with all trade talk at this point. Like, I'm ready to pick this up during training camp. I'm ready to pick this up during the trade deadline. But as far as right now, I am sick of all the trade talk. I'm just tired of it. If you notice on this channel, the whole Julio Jones, will he be traded to the Browns rumor went completely unmentioned on this channel. You know why? Because it's a pointless rumor. It's a pointless trade rumor. And if you ever watch Baltimore Raven fans on Twitter, by the way, they get caught up in this one a ton, right? Anytime a wide receiver seems like he's requesting a trade, Baltimore Raven fans get in there. Oh my gosh, the Ravens going to trade for this guy. They have like a 30-person list of wide receivers that they could have traded for, but they didn't. They were never going to trade for him, guys. So all in all, the reason I hate the will this team trade for this player storyline is that, one, it's pointless. And two, it gets people so worked up over a hypothetical situation that it just becomes irritating to the point that when you hear a hypothetical trade that is going to make people say stupid stuff about this player or that player or that player or this player, you just already get exhausted by seeing it. Case in point, will the Browns trade Baker Mayfield for Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson or whoever it was during the offseason that people wanted the Browns to trade for? Here's the thing about trade rumors and why dialogue about most trade rumors is almost always garbage. It's because most trade rumors are just complete bull. A player can be completely happy with a team and there will be 40 trade rumors about him just because, it moved the needle, right? It takes nothing to put a trade rumor out there. It takes nothing to put a trade discussion out there, and it generates a ton of arguments to which at this point, I'm exhausted of. So that is why I have pretty much all trade rumors in the storylines that I am tired of. Let's go to the next one. Speaking of trade rumors, there is a very specific form of trade rumor that I am tired of, which is people trying to pry Odell Beckham out of the Cleveland Browns. It happens all the time. It's going to happen this season at least 3 or 4 times. It can happen if Odell has 1,500 yards, if he has 1,000 yards, and if he doesn't, because this is a unique combination of people in the media who don't want Odell in Cleveland, so they want him to get traded, and people who are Browns fans who want Odell to not be on their team anymore, which does not make sense to me, but there are those fans out there, right? They comment in the video section every time, even if the video's not about Odell, they talk about how the Browns need to trade Odell. There are people who are Browns fans obsessed with Odell being traded, and there are people who are not Browns fans, but just media personalities who are just obsessed with Odell being traded, and it creates a very toxic dialogue. To the point where I just don't talk about Odell trade rumors anymore. Unless Josina Anderson says Odell wants to be traded, I ain't talking about it, because more than likely it's not really real information. And the arguments for wanting to trade Odell, they never make sense. Oh, well, maybe the Browns want to trade Odell while he's rehabbing an ACL injury to get a first-round pick. If Julio Jones can't go for a first-round pick, Odell ain't going for a first-round pick, so you ain't getting a first-round pick. So it's not use talking about it, right? You're not going to get a good return for Odell, so it's not really a great point of talking about it. You know, or the other argument, which is just infuriating to me because it just lacks common sense, and it's a clever way of trying to hide your statement of just wanting Odell out, and that's by saying, well, you know, Baker showed last year that he could be better without Odell, so let's just trade him. The reason I find that logic just head-scratching is because you think that Odell and Baker, they might not be good together, right? That Baker's better without Odell and that Odell's better without Baker. Okay, cool. Why not find out, right? Like, why not just wait? You know what I mean? You could trade him 6 weeks into the season at the trade deadline. Like, you can trade him then if it's not working out. But why not find out? What if Odell returns from this ACL injury, right? And the combination of him and Baker both progressing, getting better, understanding each other, and also being in the same offense for 2 years and actually like having confidence in what the offense is going to do and produce and look like. What if that combination spurs Odell and Baker to put up crazy numbers this year and Baker and Odell look amazing? Well, you would never know if that was possible because you traded Odell for what would be like a 3rd-round pick because he's injured right now. It just would be the least sensible solution. Honestly, this is something that the Browns 10 years ago would have absolutely done. You could see the Browns doing that and then Odell bouncing back and having a career year and the Browns fans being mad that they did, even though some of them encourage this. It doesn't make any sense to me. Keeping Odell on the team and just seeing if him and Baker can work out makes the most sense. Doing literally anything else with Odell at this point makes absolutely no sense. So why do it? Oh my goodness. First of all, this storyline depends on you just completely not remembering 2018, right? When people throw this one out there, it's because they don't want to remember 2018. Because the arguments, the foundational blocks for this argument make no sense if you remember that 2018 existed. Now, Quincy, what am I talking about? What are these foundational blocks? Let me tell you. One, people will make the argument, well, you know, we don't know how good Baker is. He had that one bad year and he had that one good year, and right now we don't know. Funnily enough, in 2020, during the offseason, before Baker had the one good year, you know what the argument was about Baker? Hey, man, we don't know about Baker. He had the one good year, his rookie year, and the one bad year in 2019. But now it's the one bad year and the one good year in 2020. So this argument, always the way it's framed, depends on you not remembering that Baker was actually really good in 2018. And also the part of the argument, the reason people try to chop off his rookie year like it didn't exist is because it just destroys every other tadpole of the argument, right? People's argument about Baker Mayfield and if he is good enough depends on one of the most lazy takes that I know of that gets thrown around a ton, which is, well, what if Kevin Stefanski's offense gets figured out after teams get tape? The reason this argument is annoying, especially when it pertains to Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns, is that, well, the Browns did play teams twice a year, right? They played their division twice a year. They even played Pittsburgh 3 times a year. And in each game against the division opponent, in the second game, the Browns offense was much better in the second game. And in the one instance where there was a third game, the Browns offense was much better. Now, if you're telling me that division teams aren't watching tape throughout the year about a division opponent, especially when they play them twice a year, and figuring out the offense, then you're insane. That's just not how that works. And also, another point to get home is that, people talk about the Kevin Stefanski offense as if this is some mysterious new thing that Kevin Stefanski created. It's the Shanahan offense. It's not that new. It's not new at all. They've been running this offense for over 40 years. Like, they've been doing this since the 80s. This is not a new offense. It's almost a throwback, to be honest with you. So saying that teams are going to suddenly figure out this offense that's 40 years old is silly, because if you could just figure it out like that, then you could have just figured it out. But no, the game has adapted and moved in a way that this is the best offense for a lot of teams going forward. And it's not something that watching tape and having the tape on is just going to make you be able to stop instantly. And if people are wondering, hey, why was Baker so bad in 2019 though? Tell me that. Figure that one out for me. Why was he so bad that one year? Freddie Kitchens. Like, Freddie Kitchens exists. We all talked about how terrible Freddie Kitchens was all 2019. People were saying this is one of the worst coaching hires in a year where Zach Taylor got hired to be a head coach. Like, this was not a mystery. Freddie Kitchens was a terrible head coach. But now that it comes time to dissect Baker Mayfield in his 3 years, 2 good, 1 bad, we look at the 1 bad and go, I just can't understand it. Like, Freddie Kitchens was not there. He was there. Todd Monken was out here telling opponents how much he hated Freddie Kitchens before games. Like, this is what the Browns had in 2019 and why that offense was so garbage despite having good players. But again, people tend to forget that. So that's the one that I'm tired of, right? Not that Baker, is he good enough? That's not an argument you can have. You can have it. You obviously know that I think Baker's really good at this point, but you can have it. But it's the way that most people go about that argument that is just ridiculous at this point, right? They bring up points that are easily debunkable, pretty much fabricated, and depend on you not knowing a whole year of football just existed without their knowledge, right? Like, it just depends on you not bringing up 2018 at all, because when you do bring up 2018, the question becomes much less necessary, right? Is Baker good? Well, he's had 2 good years, 1 bad year, and more than likely he's pretty good. But what did I know? Those are the 4 storylines that have drove me crazy. I'm sorry this is a more ranty video. It's just I have been wanting to get my frustration with these takes out, and this seemed like a great way to let it out. But let me know in the comment section what takes and storylines you're just tired of. But again, guys, thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Have a good night.